It was a cold Saturday morning in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The kind where the wind stings your cheeks and the sky feels too heavy to smile. On the corner of Maple Street, a little girl named Emily Carter, just 9 years old, sat behind a small cardboard sign that read, "Dad's guitar, $100. Needs a good home." The guitar lay in front of her, an old, worn-out Gibson acoustic, its wood faded and strings slightly rusty. It was her late father's most prized possession. Her dad had been a local musician, playing in bars and small-town fairs before he passed away from cancer just 6 months earlier. Emily's mom was doing her best, working double shifts at a diner, juggling bills that never seemed to stop. Emily wanted to help, even just a little. She thought maybe selling her dad's guitar would pay the electricity bill that had a red final notice stamped across it, but deep down, she didn't really want to sell it. She just didn't see another way. All morning, people passed by. Some smiled sadly, others looked away. One man offered her $20, but she politely declined. Then, a black SUV pulled up. The window rolled down slowly, and a voice, deep, raspy, unmistakably British, said, "Sweetheart, what's the story with the guitar?" Emily squinted, confused. The man who stepped out wore all black, silver rings glinting in the sunlight, and long dark hair tucked under a beanie. He looked familiar. It was Ozzy Osbourne. Yes, that Ozzy Osbourne. The Prince of Darkness himself, though that day, he was just a grandfather out for a quiet drive through town while visiting a friend. Emily blinked, not sure if she should be scared or starstruck. "My dad loved music," she said softly. "He used to sing to me every night. He said this guitar was magic. But, we need money now. So, I'm selling it." Ozzy knelt down beside her. "Magic, huh? Sounds like your dad was a good man." "He was," she whispered. "The best." Ozzy gently picked up the guitar and strummed a few notes. The sound, even through worn strings, was warm, alive somehow. "Tell you what," he said after a moment. "I'll take it. But not for $100. Emily's eyes widened. "You mean, you'll pay more?" Ozzy smiled, that crooked, mischievous grin fans around the world knew so well. "A bit more, yeah. How about $10,000? Emily gasped. "10,000? He nodded. "Music's not about money, love. It's about keeping memories alive. I think your dad would want you to hold on to that guitar and maybe use this instead." He reached into his coat and handed her a small envelope. Inside was a check written out in her mother's name, $4.10,000. Emily's hands trembled. I can't take this," she whispered. "Yes, you can," Ozzy said gently. "You see, I lost someone once who believed in me before the world did. Someone who told me to never stop playing. Maybe now it's my turn to pass that kindness on." Then he placed the guitar back in her lap. "Keep it. Play it. Let your dad's music live through you." 2 weeks later, Emily's story hit the local news. Photos showed her smiling shyly beside her mom and the old Gibson, with a small caption, "Rock legend helps little girl keep her father's memory alive." Ozzy never commented publicly. He didn't need to, but a few months later, a brand new acoustic guitar arrived at Emily's door, with a note attached, "For when the old one gets tired. Keep playing, kiddo. The world always needs more music." Ozzy. Years passed. Emily grew up. That old Gibson became the heart of her music, the first guitar she ever played on stage when she got accepted into Juilliard at 18. She told her story often, but never as a tale of celebrity kindness. She always ended it the same way. "You never know who's watching when you choose to be kind. My dad taught me that." Ozzy reminded me. And somewhere in a cozy home in Los Angeles, Ozzy Osbourne once smiled watching that story play on TV, softly strumming an old Gibson replica and whispering, almost to himself, "Good girl, Emily. Rock on." Moral: true kindness doesn't shout, it sings. Sometimes the smallest acts echo the loudest, carrying the music of humanity from one heart to another. The days after that meeting felt unreal for Emily and her mom. Every time she looked at the guitar, she could almost hear her dad's laugh again, that warm, contagious laugh that used to fill their small living room whenever he strummed those same strings. Her mom, Sarah, tried to stay strong, but late at night, Emily would hear her crying softly behind her bedroom door. They were still healing. Still learning how to live in a world that felt too quiet without the man who used to sing them to sleep, but that single act of kindness from a stranger she'd barely known changed everything. The check Ozzy gave them helped pay the overdue bills, fix their leaky roof, and even buy Emily her first set of music lessons. For the first time in months, there was laughter in their home again. Not because life was suddenly easy, but because someone had reminded them that hope was still alive. Emily's first music class was at a small community center just outside Tulsa. She was nervous, clutching her dad's guitar so tightly that her knuckles turned white. When the teacher, a gray-haired man named Mr. Daniels, asked everyone to play something, Emily froze. Then she remembered Ozzy's words, "Play it. Let your dad's music live through you." So she closed her eyes and played. The notes weren't perfect, some were even off-key, but they were full of feeling. The room went silent. When she finished, the teacher just smiled. "That," he said softly, "wasn't a song, sweetheart. That was a memory." Years went by. Emily grew taller, more confident. Music became her language, the way she spoke to the world. She started performing at school events, then small-town fairs, then open mic nights. Each time, she carried that same old Gibson. The wood had more scratches now, but every mark told a story, every note, a heartbeat, and every time someone asked about her guitar, she smiled and said, "It's magic." When Emily turned 16, something unexpected happened. A letter arrived in the mail, no return address, just her name written in looping handwriting. Inside was a single sheet of paper and a backstage pass.